My name is Nagaraj Nirchal. I am the Vice Chancellor of Chinmaya Vishwa. We fondly call Chinmaya Vishwa as CVV. For today, though, I am your moderator and host for this wonderful event. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the second webinar in this newly launched series of webinars that we have decided to call Global Series of Webinars. An important lesson we have learned during the pandemic is that distances have become less and less relevant when it comes to our ability to communicate. A lot of us knew this already, this idea of shrinking distances because of the internet. However, pandemic made it necessary for a lot of us who would normally not use technology to use technology. It forced us to use technology, and we became aware of this fact that we can actually reach out and touch everyone. So aptly today, we have someone whose whole motive is teaching is to touch lives. So you can touch beyond your classroom and to the whole world. So Professor Allan Joseph Abreo, today's speaker, he is the former Dean of the Faculty of Education in Goa University and former principal of Dr. Dada Vaidya College of Education in Goa. He has over 40 years of experience, teaching experience, and his philosophy is to teach, is to touch lives. Professor Allan is a popular teacher, not just for inspiration, not just for the inspiration he provides, but also for his teaching style. He's a much sought after resource person for workshops and seminars for the youth on value of education and personality development. And he created a concept called TEB, the extra bit, for every class to be spent, part of every class, like a few minutes of every class, to be spent on value education. Talk about integration of values to everyday education, which is, by the way, our motto in CVV. He has been awarded Air India's Best Teacher in the state of Goa, and he has won an award called BOLT, Broad Outlook Learner Teacher Award for the year 2008-2009. He takes a keen interest in sports and an avid cyclist. And following his passion of music, he performs live and is part of a popular music band called Status 4. Maybe some of you are his music fans. And I was very, very impressed to learn that he's right now training for the Ironman Marathon, which includes cycling, running, and swimming. So we are really looking forward to this energetic presentation from Professor Abreo. Without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, sir. I hope I'm audible to everyone. And I plan this afternoon to spend it teaching and touching lives. So, I want to welcome all of you. And before I go any further, let me thank CVV Chinmaya Vishwa, the great university, deemed university, Vishwa Beat. I'd like to thank them for giving me an opportunity to share some of my ideas to make a global kind of a series, and also to share my thoughts on how to teach and how to touch lives. This is a photo or a picture from our college. It's the college wall, and it's to teach and to touch lives. So on this note, I'd like to welcome everyone to teach and to touch lives. There is this song by Bob Dylan. I'm not going to sing this song, but the words are very apt for this session. Since I'm speaking to a majority of young people, and what's the definition of young people? All of us are young. So for the times they are, come gather young people wherever you roam and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. But the times, they are a change. Bob Dylan, great Nobel laureate for literature. And it's very true that the times are changing. Whoever imagined the pandemic, where we would be just online and offline, is put to the back. So on that note, I'd like to ask all of you a question, especially my youngsters. What do you want to be? Do you want to be a civil servant? Do you want to be a fashion designer? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a banker? Or do you want to be an engineer? And if you see, I've made the teacher bubble a little bigger. So, what do you want in life? We all want many things in life. These are some of them. We want respect in society. That's true. Who doesn't want respect? We want money because we feel that money can make the mayor go. And if we have lots and lots of money, we shall be happy. But it's not so true. We want fame. Everybody likes to be famous. You see, when Professor Vice Chancellor was telling me, introducing me, he said, like, we like to do this and we like to do that, and Professor Abreo does this. So we'd like to be famous. We'd like to have that satisfaction that, yes, I have run the race and I have done my best. We'd like some security. Everyone wants some security. In case of an accident, in case of an emergency, I should have that kind of security. And the most important thing, all of us would like to have happiness and joy. If we have that happiness and joy, then our life would be complete. I would talk of the high 5+1, the changing theme for career development. Change is constant. Obviously, we plan for a career, we plan to do a particular course, a particular program, but we might land up into something else, into another career. But that is good, because change is constant. It keeps on changing. The focus is on the journey. I am now here. And after 5, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, where have I reached? The focus is on the journey and not the career. Because if we place too much importance on the career, then we could land ourselves into some deep trouble. Follow your heart. You see, the mind can tell you many things. The brain can tell you many things. But follow your heart. Your heart is always true. Keep learning. You see, no one has stopped learning with the advent of the pandemic. I, for one, had to get used to the different platforms on which we would have to transact the syllabus. So we are always constantly learning. Access your allies. All your friends are very important. Plus, the last but not the least, believe in yourself. I have the drive. I can do this and I can do that. Well, if you believe in yourself, half your battle is over. Don't let that doubt be there. I'm reminded of a story where there was this elephant. And the elephant we know is called the heavyweight of the jungle. But there was this lion, and we know the lion is the king of the jungle. So this lion went strutting about in the jungle and he says, I am the king, I am the king. When suddenly a doubt crept in, a belief in his great kingship. And he went and asked the monkey, gave him a loud roar, and he said, hey, Mr. Monkey, who is the king of the jungle? And of course, the monkey got scared. He folded his hand, he became nervous, and he started stammering. He said, Mr. Lion, you are the king of the jungle. So the lion felt very nice. He went strutting about further into the jungle. Then he said, I've asked the monkey. He said, let me go and ask the giraffe. So he went up to the giraffe, looked up to the tall animal and he gave a loud roar. And he said, Mr. Giraffe, who is the king of the jungle? The giraffe looked down at the lion and he said, Mr. Lion, he said, why do you have any doubt? You are the king of the jungle. And to which the lion felt boosted up and he said, yes, I'm the king of the jungle. And he put his chest out a little more and he went beating his chest, I am the king of the jungle. Then he said, let me ask a strong animal. And I had mentioned to you about the elephant. So he went up to the elephant, he gave him a loud roar. And he asked Mr. Elephant, he says, who is the king of the jungle? Now this elephant was a teacher. He shook his head and he said, I will teach this lion a lesson. He took his trunk, he wrapped it around the lion. He took the lion up in the air, 1, 2, 3, and he flung the lion. Fortunately, the lion didn't break into wounds. He got up, came back to the elephant, and he told the elephant, Mr. Elephant, he says, just because you do not know the answer, there is no need to get angry. Now, why do I tell you the story? Is that you have to believe in yourself. Remember, the lion is the king of the jungle, and he has to believe that. Remember, you are the king of your life. Believe yourself. Believe in yourself that you can do great, wonderful things. I'm not going to sing to you a little song. It's about touching lives, and who else better to touch lives than a teacher? Teacher, I wrote this song for you. Thank you for every smile. I know you had a lot to do. Glad that you paused a while. You took time to listen and to hear, to laugh and just be there. I heard that lesson loud and clear. I matter to you, you care. When you reach out and you touch me with your heart, then you hold what I'm becoming in your hands. Though you're with me just a while today, you hold tomorrow's smile in your hands. In your hands, in your hands. When you reach out and you touch me with your heart, then you hold what I'm becoming in your hands. Though you're with me just a while today, you hold tomorrow's smile in your hand. In your hand. In your hand. So, as a teacher, you reach out and you touch me with your heart. Then you hold what I'm becoming in your hands. And that's very important, because if you can touch people with your heart, then you are halfway there in becoming a baby. So that's a very important thing. Teacher, I wrote this song for you, melody, words, and rhyme. Lessons you taught me yesterday have disappeared in time. But teacher, I will never forget a look you gave to me. I saw reflected in your eyes the somebody I could. So, my dear young people, it's very important. If you want to become a teacher, then be a teacher who can touch lives. And what is your legacy? We are all searching for a legacy, to leave behind a legacy after we are gone. And you are young. And therefore, what is your legacy? You see, I had a beautiful video to be played on Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, as we know, is the great speaker. And she had built a school in South Africa. And Oprah Winfrey was very proud of this school. She went up to Maya Angelou and she told Maya, you know, Maya, my greatest legacy will be the school that I have built in South Africa. And Maya turned around and she looked at Oprah and she said, you have got it all wrong. And Oprah was surprised. I know. She said, I know I've got it all wrong, but tell me then what is right? And she said, building a school in South Africa won't be your greatest legacy, but that every life you have touched, that will be your greatest legacy. And therefore, I come back to my topic. We are here to teach, but more important than teach, we need to touch lives, because that will be our legacy. If we can teach and touch lives, that will surely be our legacy, and we will be remembered for that. I still feel so happy and cheerful when I get a call from one of my students, and the student tells me, "Sir, you remember you did that poem that touched my life." That is teaching and touching lives. And I'd just like to share with you the extra bit, a little few words on the extra bit. What is the extra bit? It's a 5-minute initiative that I do. I teach for 40 minutes. I told you the legacy is the life you have touched, every life that you have touched. So I teach the syllabus for 40 minutes. Obviously, I have to teach the syllabus because I can't shy away from that task. And I keep 5 minutes towards the end of the class, giving students that extra bit for life. And how do I go about this? I started collecting extra bit. We get a lot of forwards through WhatsApp, and earlier we used to get a lot of forwards through emails. So I started collecting all these extra bits and I compiled them into a series. They were anecdotes, stories, poems, songs, exercises, video clips, PowerPoints, and even cartoon images. And therefore, I made use of these PowerPoints and images in the last 5 minutes. Now, you see, sometimes as a teacher, we get so engrossed in our talks and in our lectures that we forget that our lecture is coming to an end. So I said, better to appoint a student as a timekeeper and to remind the teacher that I have 5 minutes for the class to come to a close. So my student, who was the timekeeper, was very eager because he was waiting for those extra bits. So he would never fail to tell me, "Sir, 5 minutes are left." It's during these 5 minutes that I shared values for life. I share values for life with the students. And they remember that, unfortunately, more than the lecture. But I sincerely do hope that somewhere down the line, the lecture content will come to the fore and the values will also be imbibed by the students. We are here to teach and to touch lives. We constantly take from the universe. We're constantly taking from the universe. And we have to awaken the students to the fact that it's time to give back to the universe. And I call it a very broad universe, where we have a lot of religion is part of the universe. Everything is there in the universe, but we need to give back, not only take and take and take. This is your legacy, and it gets reinforced by the fact that you experience a great satisfaction. And this satisfaction is nothing else but oxytocin. This satisfaction in every life that you have touched. And this is a very important fact. There was this gentleman who was walking down the streets of Margao, Goa. And as he was walking down the street, he noticed that the person who was in front of him, the bag was open and some documents fell out of this bag. Now this gentleman went down, he picked up the documents and he tapped the man who had lost these documents on his shoulder, and he gave back these documents, important documents, to this stranger. Now, obviously, the man who had lost the documents was really thankful. He turned around and he said, "Thank you so much." He said, "Any other person in your circumstances might have just kept the documents for himself. And I, who was that person, would feel extremely happy that I had done a deed of kindness." And this kindness that we do, this deed of kindness, triggers off oxytocin. Oxytocin is that something which makes the entire body tick. If you look at a young lady who is an expectant mother, and when she delivers that child, when is released into the world, releases oxytocin. And this oxytocin is helpful in creating that bond between the mother and the child. Now, as I walked further down the road in Margao, there was a stranger who was seated on one of the benches in the garden. He came up to me and he told me, "Sir," he says, I saw that act of kindness. And what you did was really kind." And this gentleman who told me this also had a release of oxytocin. Just a mere observing an act of kindness releases oxytocin. And oxytocin is very important for us if we want to stay satisfied and happy. So don't forget this. To teach and to touch lives. And how do we do it? We do it by small acts of kindness. Maybe you go into a restaurant and you have a simple cup of tea and you tip that waiter 50 rupees and the cost of your tea is only 20 rupees. That act of kindness, that waiter has that smile on his face. And that act of kindness releases oxytocin within. Okay? I'd like to make it a little more reactive, interactive. So therefore, I now invite all of you to write down some of your achievements. If you don't have a paper or pencil, at least think of some of your achievements so far in life, and especially my 12th standard students. What are some of the achievements you have done in your life? Could you name some? Yes, surely you would. But I won't ask you to name some right now. I'd like you to identify what are those achievements. Maybe all of you have passed, or maybe all of you have passed to 10th standard. That was an achievement. What are some other achievements? And I'm looking at broad achievements, very broad achievements. Maybe you've won an important tournament. Maybe you won a quiz competition. That is an achievement. And take a broad view of your achievement and what enabled you to achieve these is my question. What made you to achieve these? Was it the brains? Was it the heart? Was it your motor skills? Let's have a look at it. Personal qualities. All of us have personal qualities. Maybe it's your willpower. Maybe it's your patience. Maybe it's your passion. Maybe it's your integrity. It could be your optimism. You're very positive in your thinking. Those are your personal qualities which could have made you achieve those great things. What about your abilities? The power, the potential to do something. I'm reminded of a story of a Red Indian. And the Red Indian, as we all know, was actually deprived of his land. The people from Europe came, the Westerners came and usurped his land. But suddenly, on his little farm that he had, they discovered oil. And oil, as we know, is a lot of money. So this Red Indian got this money and he did not know what to do with that money. So much of money he had. So he said, let me buy a big Chevrolet. So he bought a big car. He attached 6 horses because he was a Red Indian. And he attached 4 spare wheels to the back of the car. And every morning, this Red Indian would take this car to the marketplace. And there he parked it. And everyone who came to the market would salute the Red Indian, the big chief. And I said, hey, chief, you have now made it in life. And he felt extremely nice. Suddenly, one day, there was an 8-year-old girl who came up to him and said, chief, she said, I want to ask you a question. He said, go ahead, ask me a question. And he was quite proud of himself. And she tapped him on the shoulder and she said, look. She opened the front door of the limousine and she said, there you have the steering wheel. Okay, and she said, there's a small key there. If you turn the engine will burst forth into life. And you will not have the power of only 6 horses. You will have the power of 6,000 horses. And the Red Indian was quite surprised. But she said, it's a new Chevrolet. So therefore, the engine was perfect. And yet he never thought of turning the key and cranking the engine. Now this, my dear people, my dear youngsters, is something which all of us have. This is our car. And we have the key, but we don't want to crank the engine. We have our teachers who pull our car. We have our friends who pull our car. We have our parents. We have all sorts. We have the principal who pulls our car. But we have the power in our own hands. And that key is nothing but your potential, your ability to be the best. So, I go to the third thing which is important to enable you to achieve great things is your talents. This is a natural aptitude. You are born with them. Your talents, and lastly is your skills. And the skills we acquire through training, through specialized training. And this becomes your PATs, personal qualities, your abilities, your talents, and your skills. And if you can use your PATs to great effect, you shall achieve that greatness which you so desire in life. Supposing you decide to become a teacher, and I'm sowing the seed within you. Supposing you decide to become a teacher, I have already told you what I have done as a teacher. And what I do is to teach and to touch lives. Hopefully. So you all know what are your qualities. And suppose you decide to become a teacher, wow, that would be fantastic. But how will you use your PATs? What is PATs? Your personal qualities, your abilities, your talents, and your skills to be the best teacher, because we don't want just ordinary teachers. We want you to be the best teacher so that you can touch lives, you can teach and you can touch lives. So this afternoon, I'm inviting you to become that teacher who can use all the paths, your personal qualities, your abilities, your talents, and your skills, not only to teach, but also to touch lives. And if you have imbibed that, then you would be a great teacher. I'm here to talk about the 4 years integrated BA. At CBB, we have BA BEd and we have BSc BEd. And these two programs, the BA BEd specializes in English, and the BSc BEd specializes in mathematics. Wow. English and mathematics. What an opportunity for our youngsters. And these programs are conducted in the great university called CBB. You've heard the Vice Chancellor speak, such a dynamic person. Obviously, we would have great people in the education department who would transact the BA in English and the BSc BA in mathematics. The relevance of the 4-year integrated BA. In light of the recommendations of the NEP 2020, you see the NEP 2020 makes lots of recommendations. And one of the recommendations is that after the 12th standard, it is time for the youngsters to decide. Like how we have engineering, which is decided after the 12th standard, we have medicine also, which is decided after the 12th standard. And therefore, even teacher trainees need to decide that they want to become teachers. And you will be taught gradually not only your general stream subjects, which would be a BA in English, which would specialize, or a BSc in mathematics, but you would learn this art of teaching along with your general academics and specialization in this period of 4 years. We have the 2 years BEd at present, the 2 years teacher training program, which will be slowly shunted out and it will be replaced by the 4 years integrated BEd program. So this opportunity is just booming right now. Earlier, we were all products of a 2-year or a 1-year BEd program. But now, my dear students, you have the opportunity to move into a 4-year teacher training program. So much of teaching, so much of training shall go into these programs, and I'm sure you will benefit a lot. So, in keeping with the national education policy, the university, the UGC has come out with this 4-year integrated BEd program. And the job prospects are great. Now, for some of you who are thinking that, okay, I will decide now to become a teacher, but what happens after 4 years? Will I be able to shift my profession? Of course you can. You see, teacher training gives you a lot of confidence. It develops the best in you, which will not only help you to become a great teacher, but it will also help you to become a great professional. So just in case you want to shift your profession, this background that you have, that is given to you in this 4 years of teacher training, will definitely go a long way and help you in your other choice of careers in case you want to change your career at that stage. So don't be bogged down with the fact that, okay, I'm moving into only teacher training and therefore I will not be able to do any other career of my choice. And teacher training gives you that grounding to be a self-confident person. With such expertise and such expert teachers, definitely you have gain much momentum in becoming a successful person in life. The need to have a professional goal. You are in the 12th standard, and in this +2 stage, it is the most ideal stage to prepare yourself for a career. And therefore, move on and take that plunge. Become that teacher who can teach and to touch lives. We need to look at the emerging roles of a teacher to meet the industry 4.0 and the society 4.0 standards. Now, what's this 4.0? We all know about the Industrial Revolution. And now we're looking at the fourth Industrial Revolution, where industry is going through a great change, using a lot of information communications technology. And society, the knowledge is bursting every day. There's a bursting of knowledge, and therefore we need to define the roles of a teacher in such a scenario. The need for upskilling in teaching, the readiness to teach offline and online. Whoever dreamt that I would be here talking to so many of you through an online mode? Earlier, we just think of a seminar. Now we look at webinars. So teaching has definitely taken a turn for the better. So offline and online, we need to upskill ourselves. The future demands that teachers learn. Surely we must learn more knowledge and unlearn. That is the difficult part, the unlearning, because whatever we have learned becomes difficult to unlearn. And finally, we must relearn. So on that note, I'd like to leave you with the thought that let's become teachers. Let's become teachers who can touch, and let's become teachers who can teach and touch lives. I will like to end with that goal. Dream. You need to dream. And with that, I would finish my. We need to dream. And what better thing than to dream with a song, I Have a Dream. Have a dream, a song to sing. Help me cope with everything. If you see the world of a fairy tale, you can face the future, even if you fail. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels when I know the time right for me. I'll cross the street. I have a dream. I'll have a dream, a fantasy. Help me through reality. And my destination makes it worthwhile. Pushing through the darkness, still another mile. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels when I know the time is right for me. I'll cross the street. I have a dream. I I have a dream across the street. I cross the street. A dream. Okay, thank you very much, and wish you all the best in the journey of not only teaching and touching lives, but even I would entertain changing lives. Thank you very much, Professor, and thank you very much the audience who has given me a patient hearing and listened. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just wonderful. Thank you very much. And, this is beautifully done. And I think I'm very impressed. The extra bit even has an extra A. That is so beautiful. I'm very impressed. And I think that you made some really, really important points. And I think that has been a very inspiring talk. I think that the PATs, I will remember for a long time. I think that we all should really kind of introspect and figure out what our PATs are and work on it. I think that's a key step before one decides to choose a career. And I really appreciate you emphasizing the multifaceted nature of a teaching profession. I think you pointed out that a teacher is not training for a specific profession. No matter which profession we end up in, we end up having to teach others what we know. So everyone should be prepared to be a teacher, and I think this is a point amazingly done. And Professor Abreo, I really appreciate you singing. I think they were really nice songs and touching songs. I appreciate it. And so now I think I'm going to ask the participants, if you have any questions, you can send it to Nagaraj Nirchal in the chat box, and I will read the question out for Dr. Abreo. And I'm going to ask you a question to start you off. I think you mentioned about the 4-year program. I think it feels like you're wasting one program compared to what you might do in BSc. But you emphasize that you pick up extra skills. How does a student, I'm a student, how do I convince my parents saying that, please pay for the extra year, because it is worth it? How if I were a student, 12th grade student, I'm talking to my parent, how will I convince my parent that it is worth it? I should really go to this program.
Thank you, Professor Nagaraj. It is not a waste of a year. In fact, you are gaining 1 year. Because for a normal general stream BA and a BSc, you would have to spend 3 years doing your BSc or a BA, let's say BA in English specialization and BA in mathematics specialization. And after doing your graduation, you have to spend another 2 years doing a BA. So a total of 3 plus 2, 5 years. Now, with this new concept of the NEP 2020, we would now combine these 3 and 2 and make it a concise program. Not only that you are saving that 1 year, but you are giving a teacher's training background for 4 years rather than 2 years. So you are doubly benefit. You are not only saving that 1 year, but you are also getting a fantastic teacher's training program. Professor.
Thank you. That I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think especially now I am not fully familiar with some of these systems. I think that thank you for explaining that. Thank you. I'm actually going to ask you another question while I have the floor here. You talked about touching lives, inspiring other people. So if I am a student, 12th grade student sitting, and I think, and I think of myself as not thinking of myself in such a grand vision of being able to touch others and so on. That is a much bigger dream. And I feel that how do I, how would you convince me that, don't try to impress, don't try to, inspiring you is a bigger goal, but how do I go there one step at a time? You see what I'm saying? Because, when you say inspire, I say, oh, that is for all people who are highly accomplished people like Professor Abreo. But I'm just a 12th grade student, just about starting. That sounds like a very lofty goal. How would you respond to a student who says that?
Thank you very much for that question. It's a beautiful question, and it deserves much thought. However, I would like to tell you that our youngsters of today are far more intelligent and far more motivated if we teachers can move them in that right direction. And I'm sowing the seed of touching lives early because we feel that, okay, now is the time to get and get and get and take and take and take from the universe. But the sooner you realize that it's time to give back. Now, the youngster, true, he might think that this is a grand idea and a grand vision, and I'm no way connected to that vision now. But planting that seed, that sowing that seed there is an important effort on the part of the teacher. So when I teach for the 4 years, I will touch the lives of my students. Forget touching the lives of others. I will teach and I will touch the lives. I will train the students how to do small acts of kindness. And you see, the touching that I'm talking of is not some grand goal and vision. It's in small acts. So if a child learns to even say thank you to his parents, and thank you, mom, for preparing that wonderful lunch and dinner. I think that itself releases that oxytocin on both sides. And that act of kindness will pass on to life in the future. I hope I've answered that. It's difficult, no doubt, but it's possible.
That's a beautiful thought. That definitely clarified my question. It was a true question that I had in my own mind. It's so very beautifully put. It is these small acts that are inspiring. And you don't begin to inspire others. You just do what you're supposed to do. It's beautifully said. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Our boards are lighting up, as they say in the radio business. So why, one of audience is asking you, why do we really need a B.Ed to get into teaching? Why can't they allow people without the B.Ed also to get into teaching? What is your take on
that? Thank you. Nice question.
It's from a parent.
There are two viewpoints here. Some people believe that teachers are born, and some believe that teachers learn how to teach. And both viewpoints are very important. Because I once and she asked me, sir, all these methodologies you're teaching me are really not inspiring me. I am a born teacher. So I said, I don't deny the fact that you are a born teacher. I agree with you. Yes, you are a born teacher. All of us are born teachers. Not teaching per se in the classroom, but we generally teach our peers. We teach a lot of things to our friends. And I believe a teacher is born, true, but these skills can be honed. These skills can be trained. And you can imagine a person who has already, all of us are born teachers, and now we are getting this training from the teacher training colleges. And that would be just a wonderful experience of this adult, because the adult will now use his talents, those inborn traits which he has, and project him to a teaching level of really excellence. So if I got the answer correctly, teachers are born and teachers are trained. Both are good, because I've noticed sometimes, you can break your head banging your head against the wall, and you are saying, "Oh gosh, how much I explained to this particular student how to teach this particular concept," but he has not understood. And yet, you would be surprised that in later life, that teacher training would make a better teacher than the complacent one who thinks, "I am born a teacher. I've got those talents which make me a great teacher." So let's not sit on our laurels and think that I've been born as a great teacher and therefore I don't require training. No, you require training, because that training will project you to be. If you're not a good teacher, you will become a good teacher. And if you are a good teacher, you will become even a better one. So training is absolutely a must for a teacher. For anyone who wants to take up.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, because there are quite a few questions, so I want to get to as many of them as possible. So maybe we will try to go through them. I think as many, because some of beautiful questions. You mentioned about learn, relearn, and unlearn. So what is there to be unlearned? So we have a very alert one of our own PG alumni is asking this question.
Interesting. The difficulty that arises in all of us is to unlearn. Learn, yes, we can learn many things. Let's say I've learned to drive extremely badly. I'm in a car and I'm learning to drive a car. I've used this motor skill and I've learned to ride the clutch, and I'm changing the gears without pressing the clutch. I've learned that. Now, if I go to a driving school and that driving school wants to teach me the proper way of driving, I have to unlearn of what are the different skills, or what are the things that I'm doing wrong. If I still stick on to these bad habits of mine as far as driving is concerned, it would be very difficult for me to learn and to relearn something. So, therefore, unlearning is the key. We can really unlearn things, then learning new things and relearning. Relearning is a different connotation as what one would generally think. We are in this field of education, and therefore we all know that many of us who are teachers, we have learned things wrong, and therefore we have to learn, and sometimes we have to relearn, because let's say I think that I know everything as far as teaching of mathematics. I'm a mathematics methodology teacher, and therefore I would think that I've learned quite so many years. In fact, most of us, I don't know if I'm speaking too much, but most of us, we bag our tails teaching for 20, 30 years. Look, if you have not changed the style of teaching and just kept to that same methodology in the first year, and mathematics is a subject which lends itself to such a scenario where you learn how to solve those problems in the first year, and you will not improve your teaching further on, because you will repeat your teaching. And you think that you are teaching, you praise yourself, I've taught for 10 years, 20 years, and before you're still teaching the same old methodology, which have to change. So you have to learn, you have to unlearn, and then you have to relearn, which will project you to becoming a better person.
Thank you. Thank you. One other question that come up here is that, B.Ed program is not everywhere, the 4-year integrated program. So will someone who is doing a 4-year integrated program will get a better job than going for the traditional method?
Good point. I'll be with the NEP, the National Education Policy 2020, envisions that by 2030, starting from 2025, the 2-year B.Ed program will be closed in a phased manner, and the entire country will move into an integrated teacher training program, whether it be a BA, BS, BA, BEd, or a BSc. The subjects might be different, but the entire teaching training program will shift from a 2-year BEd program to a 3-year to a 4-year integrated teaching program. So don't be under the impression that you can carry on doing a 2-year BEd, not for long. Not for long. All teacher education programs, those institutions that are offering a 2-year BEd program, will have to shift gears and move to an integrated program, either a BA program or a BSc. Okay? So having said that, I think we need to look ahead and think that the 4-year BEd program has come to stay. The integrated program. The 2-year BEd program is on its way out. Yes, thank you, Professor.
So I think a related point, I think this could be a full follow-up to the point you made. So the 4-year program, you are learning the discipline. At the same time, you're also learning how to teach it. So do you want to address that? I mean, that seems like a definite advantage. Would you not say?
The idea of doing a BSc is that you're going to learn those subjects which are different than the school subjects. The BEd enables you to teach at the school level, and which the NEP has now defined school level up to the 12th standard. So you will be equipped to teach up to that level, and you will not be teaching the BSc mathematics that you have learned.
Okay.
So the teaching program would be in such a way. So there's nothing to worry about. That you are learning a discipline and that you're going to teach those particular courses which you have learned. No. Relax and just go in for your 4-year integrated program and become a great Professor Nagaraj.
Thank you. So one other question is, this is one of our faculty. Why is the status of teaching as a profession is not considered as great as some of the other professions? Although we say, we think of Guru as equal to God, right? So we consider teaching as the noblest of all professions. Why are we not thinking the same way?
Teaching is definitely a profession. It's a calling. I don't think that anyone who doesn't want to become a teacher should stay in the field, because in the field only for the money part of it. And mind you, the UGC has now raised the teacher salaries to quite an extent. So therefore, that whole idea that teaching is not a much sought after profession is slowly changing. In fact, I think it has changed. That teaching now is quite sought after, no doubt. I'm telling my young friends out there, if you do a teacher's training program, that's 4 years, you are investing that 1 year. From a BSc, you are going a BSc BEd, you are investing that 1 year, and that 1 year is nothing when you compare it to the span of life. And that 1 year will give you the cutting edge over others, because you have been trained, the confidence level will be there. You will be really well equipped to handle many problems of life. Professor Nagaraj.
Thank you. I think there's a question on online teaching. I want to kind of preface this question by saying the following, because you are in Goa, I'm in Kerala. I really feel like you have touched me with your thoughts. And so the question is, if we, how do you don't online teaching? Doesn't it make one feel disconnected with human touch? And that is the question. So I'm going to preface it because I feel really uplifted listening to you.
It's true that, but how wonderful it is that I'm here in Goa and you are there, and yet we can connect. That's the advantage of online. However, teacher training must have that blended approach. So we would have offline and online, because I, for one, would believe that lesson planning, how to give a lesson, requires that human touch. And observing them, you see, observing a teacher giving a lesson online is very much different. Then there are the finer nuances which take place when you actually observe student teacher giving a lesson in the class. But however, I don't think so. This is going to be a affair where they are going to have only online teaching. It will be blended with the approach. So we shall have online, and there will also be offline physical classes. Let's see when that happens. I think it's going to happen soon because uh, let's think positive. It cannot be wave after wave after wave. There has to be somewhere where we have overcome the pandemic. And we are having both online, because online has given us exposure to many things. You can't put up a PowerPoint. I had a slight pitch here and there because I had planned some video clips for my talk today, but well, it didn't happen. So that is the resourcefulness. The teacher must be resourceful, whether it be online or whether it be offline. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. One question, specific question, looks like from a student. So what are some of the other directions a student can move after getting a BA, B.Ed in English or a BSc, B.Ed in mathematics? What are some other directions? If they say, no, teaching is, I want to try something else. What are some of the other natural places, natural kind of job trajectories for them?
Okay. If you've done a B.Ed in English, Go University allows you to pursue a master's degree in English, because the course content in that discipline has the equivalent papers of a general B in English. So that option would be left there for the child to pursue a master's program. So he has, I tell you, not lost, but he has gained that confidence. So he can shift to the general stream, which is sad because we really would love that teacher after being with us for 4 years to go into teaching, because we have given with our 100% heart that we have done a great job in churning out that teacher. But however, the option of being an MSc in mathematics would still be there as an option. Besides, you see, when you are doing these 4 years, you will be given training how to answer competitive exams. So you will never be at a loss, because we are training our trainees to teach their students how to answer competitive. So all those logical reasonings, all those mental ability, everything would be trained, training to our teacher trainees, who in turn would train their students. So if at all, at any given moment, the teacher wants to shift, he would be equipped to answer these competitive exams. So I feel like they're at not only one advantage, they're double advantage, and the benefits are multi as looking at the integrated app. If I were to live my life again, I would surely, if I had to was given a choice between a 2-year and a 4-year, definitely opt for a 4-year.
Very good. I think this is it has been amazing. I think there are still some questions, but I think that we really, I think we started a bit late because of the technical difficulties, so I decided to go a little bit longer.
I apologize for that.
But we still want to keep it more or less to an hour. And I think those who have actually sent the questions, then we will save them, and we will actually, you can email those questions to us also.
Absolutely.
And if we have your email, that when you're registering, I'm sure we'll be able to get those emails from you. And I know overall it has been just a pleasure. I just want to kind of mention one thing. I heard somewhere saying teaching is twice learning. Is actually, you're learning, when you're preparing, you're learning. When you're teaching, again, you're learning. And, so you're actually teaching, you're learning something that is very, very important. That is learning itself, because you're paying a lot of attention to how to teach. that means that you need to know how other person is learning. So this is a beautiful profession. You represent that profession so well, Professor Abreo, and I must tell you, thank you very much for coming and giving us this talk. I think it has been very inspiring to me. And I also want to thank all the other people who make this thing happen, the IT media folks. And first of all, I think finally, I definitely want to thank our VC designate, Professor Ajay Kapoor, who will be taking over as the next VC of Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapith on August 4th. And who, with his team, curated this idea of a global series. And I think this is a terrific series, and I think it's celebrating the fact that as the whole world is coming closer together, and that closeness, I think that is a global series is a celebration of that, as I view it, and amazing. And you are you represent this value very, very well. Thank you very much, and thank you, everybody.